CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. And he's back, the man in the middle, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. That was very good to hear. Good to see you, Herb.
It's good to be seen.
How you feeling?
Son? I'm feeling perfect. That was not a thing. You shouldn't get COVID, people. Get your booster shot if you want.
Well, and I'm glad you're feeling better because, you know, if you weren't, it would be very concerning that you're sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
We are being produced today by Sarah.
Hi. Welcome back, Herb.
Thank you, Sarah.
And shout out to everyone hanging out in the chat. We got Jimmy who's saying Happy Monday. Usually people don't say Happy Monday.
This is the what? This is the first time in 3 weeks we've all done a show together?
It's weird.
Yeah. It's been
Hello.
weird.
As Thin Lizzy used to say, the cowboy song.
Great song.
Oh, and the boys are back in town.
Yeah,
I love Cowboy song.
They do
So good.
Cowboys. I like the live version of Cowboy.
Oh,
Cowboy
yeah,
song
Live
where
and
it goes
Dangerous.
in.
Oh, yeah.
It's very, very, very cool.
Good stuff.
Hit that thumbs up button for the Cowboy song. And,
Do it for Phil Lynott, guys.
and for us being back in studio together. We got some trade talk on Yoan Moncada and Eloy Jimenez stemming from the winter meetings. Then we're going to open up the mailbag, which wasn't super full, I'll be honest with you. So
People are Christmas shopping, man.
Yeah.
This is the time of year when Santa's bag is full, which means our bag less so.
Our usual guy, AJ, is like doing things and enjoying life.
Disney.
Like a jerk.
Yeah, enjoy. Have you guys been to Disney?
Which one? I mean, yes,
Have
I've
you
been to both.
either?
But yeah.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah.
well,
I've not been to either of those places.
But yes.
I've never been. Which one do you got a favorite then? If you've been to both,
They are...
a horse apiece.
I guess I'd say I like the California one better because it's like more historic, you know? There's still some stuff there that was like there in the 50s, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're both very crowded and very expensive, but if I had to pick one, I'd say California.
I think I've missed that boat. I don't know if I'm going to have kids in the future. If I do, I would assume we'll go to Disney World and Orlando. But yeah, when I was a kid, we were, into money or anything like that, so we never went. And I'm not a Disney adult, so not going.
Yeah.
Courtney might be.
I don't.
I said, enjoy yourself.
If I ever got labeled a Disney adult, I don't know if I could continue with life.
Hey, I won't yuck their yum, but it's not for me.
No, I'm not trying to yuck their yum. I'm just
But
saying,
for you, yeah.
I'm not currently that, and it'd be a very odd turn to see that for myself. And yeah, I've never gone, so I don't know. Disney's not for me. The White Sox are though. We're going to talk about the White Sox.
I'm a great Six Flags Great America adult.
No, hell yeah, let's go. You got a favorite ride there?
Shockwave, of course.
The hell's Shockwave?
It's an old ride. There was the Eagle and then the Shockwave were when I was a kid. It was like really fast. I think at the time the fastest roller coaster in Great America. I think it's been surpassed multiple times since then, but Shockwave was awesome.
I'm a Raging Bull fan. Yeah. The Raging Bull. Oh yeah. I'm a classic.
The movie?
Is that
no?
I've never seen that movie.
What's the one where you got to stand up and the thing is like right on your crotch?
Oh,
the Superman?
Iron Wolf or whatever it's called. Ugh.
Iron Wolf, Superman. You're lying down.
Oh yeah, that okay, yeah.
What'd you say? Which one did you say?
Which one was
Raging
my favorite?
Bull? Yeah,
Raging Bull.
I can't ride that one. That one's too scary for me. But yeah, it's
That's
a movie
why I like
with
it.
Robert De Niro. Some people say it's good. I don't know.
It's really
Haven't
good.
seen it.
I've never even heard of that.
I also haven't been to Six Flags, so.
You ever been to Six Flags?
No.
It's right up there in Kearney.
I'm aware of where it is.
Not
I've driven by it many
expensive
times.
You're not a big roller coaster guy?
Yeah. If I'm going to go to a park, give me a theme park over an amusement park.
It's kind of Bugs Bunny
Or National
themed.
Park.
Well, yeah, that's an actual park,
Yes.
but yeah, one with rides, I guess, yeah.
Just don't touch the bison.
No, they'll gore you.
The Demon's good.
And if somebody
What
does
Wolf
gore you,
Larson
please
said.
somebody film that so I can watch it.
What are you guys talking about?
We're going a mile a minute here, Sean.
Is that National Lampoon?
No, just
okay,
people
all right.
going to national parks and touching bison.
Oh, okay.
All the damn time.
All right, I don't know.
Stop.
Did you know? Not my favorite because people get hurt, but Yellowstone. They have all those famous geysers.
Yeah.
And usually, when you see a fountain, it's like controlled water. Thing about geysers, it's natural.
Yeah.
So you can't really.
Thank you for the newsflash.
Well, some people don't get it and go near these natural geysers and get severely
get burned.
burned. Yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
See me that film too. I like when people do dumb things and they get punishment immediately. It's great.
Yikes. All right. Let's talk about trading Yoan Moncada and Eloy Jimenez. Stemming back from the winter meetings, you asked Chris Getz a question about the ability to trade Yoan or Eloy Jimenez. Obviously, we've seen some rebranding for Yoan Moncada, the ever so versatile Yoan Moncada, who could play third base, left field, right field, even first base.
Remember that? I had totally almost forgotten about.
I won't let Chris get that. That's something stupid that Chris gets. That and the elephant in the room comment. He should never be able to live those comments down unless Yoan Moncada plays like 50 games at first base. Anyways, Vinny, what did Chris Getz have to say? What was even the question?
Yeah. So again, when you talk to general managers or anybody, in my line of work, you don't usually really like to specify things because then they get into the specifics of the specific question you ask. So you try to keep it general as possible. And so I just said, would the White Sox be open to a trade in which they would have to pay salary in order to make it happen, right? We've seen their moves thus far this offseason have been cost-effective, for lack of a better term, and is the idea of paying someone a big salary that they might be making soon in 2024, part of that salary in order to make a trade happen. Is that something that the White Sox would consider? Chris Getz said, quote, "We're open-minded. We certainly are. You might have to be creative with any acquisition. We've considered moves like that. Obviously, it's got to make sense for both sides," close quote. So not too much to go off of there, but I think it is just another example of never say never. Don't take something off the table. There are two guys who we put in the headline who we've been talking about for a while that maybe the White Sox would want to move them if it all lined up. I think the idea, though, is if they're going to have to pay some of the upcoming $24 million that Yoan Moncada is going to make in 2024 in order to get him on another team to make a trade happen, it better make sense for them with the players that would be coming back.
And I get it, and I'm glad that he's open to it and the White Sox are open to it, but if you are willing to trade Yoan Moncada, I wouldn't have had the people who have left since August with Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn do what they did. Kenny Williams specifically, trading Jake Berger away. And so if you're willing to do that, and you knew you were willing to do that, and pay some of that salary, you better have a replacement. There's really nobody who can play third base besides Yoan Moncada on this current roster that you'd be like, hey, yeah, give him 150 games. So I'm in if you're going to trade Yoan Moncada, because the $24 million that he's going to be making, there's really no way he's going to be living up to that money. So, a team that is cheap or doesn't really like to spend money. Cheap is kind of a harsh word for the White Sox. They do spend money, but I think they just spend it poorly. If you're going to have that, cool, fine, but you trading that guy away lost all the ability for you to trade Yoan Moncada away, because now you have a hole at third base, and who's it going to be filled up by? Ramos eventually? Colston Montgomery eventually?
Who cares? I mean, do they need a respectable third baseman? They're going to lose 90-plus games.
They are,
again.
But then don't trade Jake Berger away.
Here to that point, and then really the overarching idea of, I think, what makes this a conversation worth having between us right now, other than the fact that it's December and nothing has happened on the free agent front quite yet.
You guys. It's nice to converge.
Right, exactly. I think what you're looking at is Chris Getz very much trying to turn a page, to start a new era, to, as we've mentioned over and over again, create a new identity for this organization. When you bring up, Herb, why would you let Kenny and Rick do the deals that they did when Chris Getz might be considering this kind of move? Well, Chris Getz wasn't in charge. The team that Rick and Kenny built heavily featured Yoan Moncada and Eloy Jimenez as key cogs in that. Featured Tim Anderson as a key part of that too. Liam Hendricks. Those guys have since gone, and I think that showed that Chris Getz is ready to maybe move on and do something that's different and do something, again, not a complete tear-down rebuild kind of thing. They don't want to talk about that, but the same kind of idea where you are creating something brand new. And so I'm not saying they would just pay $10 or $12 or $15 million just to make Yoan Moncada go away. I think they recognize the talent, and they'd be fine if he were to stick around because they've already paid him. But the idea being that there is maybe a different direction that this team can go in, and you've seen it already in making some tough decisions to move on from some pretty important pieces. If Dylan Cease gets traded, that's another example of that we've heard obviously a lot more buzz about than potential trades involving these guys. But if he really does want to just create a brand new thing in that clubhouse, a brand new thing on that roster, Moncada and Jimenez should be considered candidates to be traded, but of course there are hurdles to getting that kind of deal done. And I think when you hear that Chris Getz and the White Sox would be willing to pay some unspecified amount of money if the deal makes sense, it shows a willingness to move on from these guys who maybe they don't think are part of their future.
So
long term, at least.
It's tough to rewrite history, but I think you're talking about not trading Jake Berger. Mm-hmm. Did they fire Jerry Reinsdorf? Not they. Did Jerry Reinsdorf fire Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams at the wrong time? Like, looking back at this, when they were 7-21 in April, like, what is the difference firing them then when you kind of know the season for 2023 is done and over with before such an important date? Like, I know Chris Getz has never run a trade deadline before, but I think if you're making this type of move, and knowing that Chris Getz was the guy, because we assumed that he probably did, like, should Chris Getz been running this show at the trade deadline so they had more of an idea of where to guide this ship?
Yes. I mean, that is a thing where how long after the trade deadline did they fire Kenny and Rick? It was like a week?
It was not long.
Yeah, so...
Because the trade deadline was August 1st, and Getz was introduced on August 31st.
Yeah, and so it's like, you knew this guy...
August 23rd.
These guys are kind of on the ropes. They didn't take 20 days. It's like, 20 days. These guys are out now. He was thinking about that coming up.
August 22nd.
Yeah, so he was thinking about that coming up. And so at minimum, he could have just told the guys, you're not moving anybody unless it's unloading salary to help this team out in the future. Like, if you're going to be willing to trade Yoan Moncada and eat some money, I'm in. But also have a person who everybody loves, who was showing production for the first time as a major leaguer on the squad, so you can come back next year and say, at least we have this youngish third baseman that's not going to cost us a lot of money, and now we have a plan moving forward. I'm not going to let these two people who I'm releasing after this control my team's future, which theoretically they did. They controlled the White Sox third base future for years to come by trading Jake Berger away. I said I'm still good with the trade. I'm still fine with Jake Eder. I think he will develop into something. But if you're looking at Yoan Moncada and you're willing to trade him, and I hope they do, it's not congruent. The moves don't make sense. And I know they're two different regimes, so I won't blame this on Chris Getz, but I will blame it on Jerry Reinsdorf for allowing that to happen. And I know those two guys were like, we're fine. We're not going to be moving on. We're not going to get fired. It was a surprise to all of us when they did get fired. So I don't blame them for doing moves like they thought they were going to be here for next year. But Jerry Reinsdorf had to have an inkling that they weren't going to be here next year, and why should I let them, control the team's future when they won't be here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key word you used there in that question to us, Sean, was hindsight, right? I mean, we can talk about things in a way because we know how things have played out. I think in the moment, I don't think Jerry Reinsdorf was expecting to fire Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams on August 1st.
What changed in those 22 days, though?
I mean, that's a great question, but I mean, that is you heard from him how hard it was for him to make that decision because of the personal relationships that he had with those two people. Again, Jerry Reinsdorf thinks about the White Sox and the people who work for him much differently than you do. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, listen, Herb, you have been sitting here for the entire time that we have been a company talking about your thoughts on where those guys deserve to be because of their job performance, right? Jerry Reinsdorf thought about it much differently. And so it's hard for us to sit here and get inside his head in terms of what he was thinking on day 1 versus day 30 versus day 60, and so on and so forth. Sean, you say hey, by the end of April, everybody thought this was done. I mean, the White Sox were not that far out of first place for the vast majority of the first half of the season. Like, it would, you might have sat there and laughed. I might have sat there and been realistic watching the team. So when we heard Pedro and Rick say over and over again, hey, this could still turn around, this could still play out in our favor, but from a mathematics standpoint, it very much could have because no team was running away. Anyway, it's all hindsight. And I guess my point being that it's very clear to me by what Jerry said to us in that interview session that he made that decision when he did, and he didn't make it a moment before. And so if you're going to say, well, how could they possibly have let them trade Jake Burger if they knew that Chris Getz would be thinking about considering trading Yoan Moncada? Maybe this is an indictment of them, but obviously those things were not being thought about at the same time.
Yeah, I guess I'm more just interested in Jerry's thought process because you see what Chris Getz has done as general manager, and I think a lot of it has been improvements over what Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams has dด. I think that, I've always focused on wanting more depth for this team, and I think that they're trying to find that throughout this offseason, and it hasn't been pretty. A lot of rejects getting second chances, but hey, I mean, there's probably still some magic left.
It's much more than what the previous regime had done, and the starting pitching thing is not that bad, but it's not that good. But they're doing what the two people before them should have done and stock this team up with a bunch of arms and see what sticks.
And it's not over yet, too. And you talked about misallocation of budget. Again, signing all of the guys that they did to fill out that bullpen when it might not have been exactly necessary because you see all those guys off the team at this point. And, yes, they've gotten some pieces like Corey Lee for some of those people, like Kendall Graveman. But, it's a really thin bullpen now at this point. But just to push back a little bit, at what point did you think that they were actually, in it? Because they were 9 games.
Me personally or Pedro and Rick? That's the distinction I was trying to make, right?
But, I understand. But Rick Hahn has to, at that point, keep saying that they're in because if not, that probably makes it easier to fire him if your team is failing and you're kind of thinking, oh, well, this team's done. It's kind of a bad look if the GM goes out, and same for the manager, the new manager, saying, kind of screwed the pooch.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's fine. I guess I'm just saying, for them to get up there and say, we have a chance, they weren't lying. They maybe were grasping at straws, but they weren't lying. And I think that, to make it, and also too, how many times did we talk about the fact that they were stuck? They were stuck in that situation, right? They had already invested the money. They had already built the team. And they had already built the machine, and the machine was not functioning. It's not like they could just go out and say, all right, well, we're going to do a new machine here on the fly. This one didn't work. It's what ended up happening, but they had to fire Rick and Kenny in order to do it. Rick and Kenny built that team. That was the team that they had said was going to be a championship contender. They had to believe that it was going to turn around because that's what they just spent the last 7 years doing.
That's true, but even if Chris Getz is at the helm, maybe it's easier for them to trade Dylan Cease, and then you have 2.5 years of control to trade Cease, and maybe that's a time to even capitalize on that market. Maybe just the idea of what they're doing, maybe it's a little bit more gas on the pedal at the trade deadline because they still were busy and made obviously a lot of trades. So to wrap up on Jimenez and Moncada, it's easier to, I think, take money and get Jimenez off the team. He's around, $13 million. So if you ate 3 or whatever and got them a team to pay $10 million for Eloy Jimenez for a DH, that seems worth it. I think it's not going to be a massive amount for a team to want Eloy. You even saw with the Dodgers, they included Manuel Margot, not because Manuel Margot is going to change the Dodgers' fortunes in 2024, but because the Rays don't have to pay that money, and the Dodgers don't care about that. So the Moncada one, I think, is probably, you have to eat half to more than you'd have to max Stassi that contract. I think if one of these guys would be traded, it's probably Eloy just because of the easiness of making that salary happen.
Well, and not only that, but we've even heard, again, minimal, but we have heard something here and there, be it at the deadline or be it over the winter now. Someone is interested in him. Someone is interested in him. And it might be passing. They might not be interested in paying him $13, you know what I mean? But that's something, right? We have not heard anything in terms of Moncada. Not that we should expect to. Obviously, he just had a very bad season. He's had trouble staying healthy. He's making a very lot of money next year. But teams want guys who have potential. Teams will look high and low for improvements. And I'm not going to say that anybody's going to, trade the farm for Yoan Moncada, but if it makes sense, remember, that's what Chris kept saying. Maybe they do want to throw in a prospect that the White Sox are like, wow, we can't turn down having that guy be a cornerstone piece for us moving forward just because maybe he's blocked in a certain other team. Yeah, I don't think it's very likely that either of them get traded this offseason, but I think it's worth talking about the possibility of it, not just because of what Chris said, but because of what Chris is doing in trying to create something really new and bring in certain types of players to this team.
And I think some team is going to look like we're going to say when we're doing a preview next year if Eloy's still in the team. Man, if Eloy does that 2022 second half, we got a player. And so for $13 million, you don't think somebody's going to jump at that? I think it might be a 1-for-1 deal or one for minor leaguers. If you don't think you have to pay that much for Eloy to go to some other team, because $13 million in the grand scheme isn't that much money, especially if you get the hitter that you're expecting. And that's
it's what the White Sox just gave up to let Tim Anderson go away.
Yeah, and so it's like
they could have paid Tim Anderson $13 million.
Could have, they didn't,
and they didn't.
Yeah, and so you can realistically say to a team, and a team can be like, this is our missing piece. This is our designated hitter, or right fielder, left fielder, whatever you want to put him. And $13 million to pay for a 27, 28-year-old guy who's going to hit a bunch of home runs, it's not a hard price to pay. And we'll trade a double-A guy who's coming up to get that if that's our last piece.
It's just it seems very difficult right now, I think, to look at how the offseason's played out to this point and find a lot of teams that are willing to take on a lot of money. We've obviously seen the Dodgers do it. The Braves are making quite a habit of just
what they're doing.
Paying to bring in guys so they can get another guy and then pay to make him go away. I guess they've got some cash down there in Atlanta to burn or something like that. But that's been few and far between, and you're seeing a lot more because maybe of the TV situations with a lot of these teams. A lot of teams may be throttling back a little bit, and so perhaps that really reduces the number of even potential partners, people that Chris could call up and even have these conversations with. But it would be hard to even kind of start formulating a list in which you would point and say, oh, maybe they would want him. Maybe they would want him kind of thing. The only team that really would come to mind for me is the team that just traded their third baseman earlier this winter. That's Seattle. They've got a lot of young pitchers that the White Sox are probably interested in. From what you've seen, it sounds like a lot of teams are interested in those young pitchers, and they've so far held on to them. But that's a team that maybe is looking for some offense, and if you could sell them that Yoan Moncada could produce some offense, maybe there's a partner there. But I think you're right. It's still very unlikely that we would see a trade just because how much of that money do you have to eat, and at what point does it stop making sense, to quote Talking Heads.
Well, and yeah, I think that's the thing with Seattle is it's going to be they need you to pay $24 million, and we'll pay $500,000. Like that's the issue with Seattle. They're cutting back extreme. I mean, they missed that playoffs, and I don't know if there's something up with their TV dealer. They have Root.
They're Root Sports.
Yeah.
I don't think they're part of the Diamond thing.
I don't know.
All RSNs are not doing well.
Real quick though.
But we've seen the D-backs. The D-backs are their TV's gone, and they keep signing guys.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think Kylie McDaniel of ESPN projected there's $2 billion left in contracts still to be given out in Major League Baseball. So I think it's part of it too. Is like
this winter with the free agents who are still around.
Yamamoto's a big part of that,
right? And that's going to be decided by January 4th. So we'll figure that out. But real quick, like, what team is convincing themselves that Eloy Jimenez is going to be that?
Think about these teams like the Reds who think they might be in it, and they're needing a designated hitter outfield type bat that can hit the ball over the fence, where $13 million is not that much to pay for a guy if he does turn into the person. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, those teams that don't have the top end money and want to shop at the bargain basement, and they can say, hey, we got a young, inexpensive player in Eloy that is showing the ability to hit.
He's not inexpensive though.
I mean, $13 million for them is very inexpensive.
For who?
The Reds?
Herb, that's so. I mean, again, like teams are paying about like $9.5 million for one WAR.
Yes,
and that's what Eloy has been worth on average in his 5 years. So like that's an overpay.
But in that stadium, in that formula,
he's got to stay healthy.
Understood, 100% understood. But those are the teams that you got to exploit. Those are the teams that you got to say, okay, you want Eloy Jimenez. You're going to have a power hitter here in Cincinnati. You just lost Joey Votto. I know he wasn't great. You need this type of player in your lineup. And if he's healthy, baby.
It sounds like you're talking to the Rockies, not the Reds.
The Rockies won't do it because they're like, Everybody in the AL and the NL West is doing well. F that. Why try?
They've got to go up to the Rocky Mountains and find a river and mine for gold to pay Chris Bryant.
Oh my God, that was a dumb move at the time. I was like, baby, good job, Chris Bryant, but also you guys are dumb, Rockies. Like your moves don't make sense. You trade away Nolan Arenado a year after the extension, get rid of Trevor Story. It's like, hey, off the injured Chris Bryant, who's not as good. Here's a bunch of money. Get your ass over here.
Okay. I don't know how many players. 202 players. 202 players since 2019 have taken 1,500 plate appearances. Out of the 202, where does Eloy Jimenez rank in home runs?
101.
Higher. 101 is Yasmani Grandal.
53.
50 lower.
62.
You're getting so close. No.
74.
Yes.
That'd be wild if it was 74.
No.
Oh, we're
lower.
almost there.
It's right there.
So 78.
78. I'll accept 78. 75 to 78 have 89. He is tied with Jorge Polanco, Trevor
on the trade block.
Trevor Story, who's been hurt, and Bo Bichette.
Oh, the most fearsome boundary hunter in the galaxy.
Yeah, so that's really a big corner outfield DH likeness that he's with 4 middle infielders. I don't know. I don't know, Herb. I'm
telling you, when we do our preview show, we're going to say, if Eloy does this or that, I'm guaranteed some teams going to be thinking that same thing. Well, maybe they're not willing to pay $13 million. Maybe the Sox have to pay $2 or $3 million of that, so it's a $10 million deal. But I'm guaranteed somebody's going to fool themselves into thinking Eloy's the last piece. Eloy's our guy. If he does this, we're going to be in the house.
Well, and listen, just as the idea of them maybe holding on to Cease until the deadline has been broached, what's wrong with hanging on to Eloy until the deadline? I mean, listen, if they get a deal that makes sense, they'll make it, obviously. But if there are no takers out there, if this team that Herb is talking about does not exist, keep Eloy and then let Eloy prove it. Let Eloy go out and try to hit 15, 20 homers before the deadline or before the All-Star break and see if anybody is biting then.
Who's your favorite? You were talking about your favorite team in Japan. They might bite it. The carp.
The Hiroshima Carp?
Yeah, they might bite.
Because they're fish. They'd bite. Yeah.
Hey, nice. I mean,
NC Dinos too.
You could do the same thing with
they bite.
You do the same thing with Yoan Moncada, and if he has a stretch like he did from August 9th to the end of the season, he's better than Jake Berger, and we saw Jake Berger help out a playoff team. So I mean, Yoan Moncada, a 911 OPS from August 8th, September to September 30th. Jake Berger 888. So Yoan Moncada was better. So I mean, hey, come trade deadline, if he's healthy and has an OPS of 9, they might not have to eat any money and
have to pay 10 of the 12 remaining million.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, maybe something will happen. Let's take a break, and then we'll jump into the Diehard Mailbag. Want to let you know about our friends over at CIRCA Sports. The Bears, after that horrible loss on Sunday, are 4.5-point favorites.
How many horribles?
Horrible.
7.
Somehow Adam Hogue is still talking to Jake Flanagan about it. I mean, that meeting has been going on for 4 hours.
Just face down on, or is he on a therapist couch?
He's in the surrender cobra
Gotcha.
pose. Yeah, he's. I don't think he's probably talking about Fields. Anyways, they're 4.5-point favorites against the Cardinals.
Oh wow!
This coming Sunday, the over/under is at 44.5. And the best part about CIRCA Sports Illinois is they are the world's largest sports book, and that you can guarantee yourself that if you're going to be betting 4.5 or the over/under at 44.5, either the over or under, the spread, the total is all going to be priced at the right price for you. They aim to be offering on their money line or on their menu minus 110. Other sports books might be offering minus 115, minus 120. You're just giving that sports book more money. If you have a bet in your mind that you think is going to cash, CIRCA is the place to get the most out of your bet. So head over to CIRCA Download the app today at circuitsports.com/Illinois-app. And the best part, too, is there are real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chatbots. So all aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sports book at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So again, head to circuitsports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know might have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. Text GMB 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
Midtown has 4 Chicagoland locations: Palatine in the northwest suburbs, Bannockburn in the North Shore, Willowbrook in the southwest suburbs, and Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park. Midtown Palatine has launched a multi-million-dollar transformation of the club, which will be complete in early 2024. Listeners can lock in favorable rates if they join before the end of the year, so hurry up. And there's something for everybody at Midtown. Single people, families with kids, where it's included in your membership to get some daycare, people looking to make lifestyle changes, or holistic wellness. As one of the people who use Midtown say, it is the best and nicest fitness club that they've ever been to, and that is true. They have super luxe locker rooms and wet and dry saunas with premium amenities, amazing outdoor and indoor pools and hot tubs, a collection of boutique fitness studios with more than 100 classes per week, included in your membership. And this isn't gym quality. The spaces are boutique quality. And the class that I took was the Les Mills body pump, which is in their theater. But they have 6 other places where you can be in the group classes, which how I would get down. Now, they have Midtown is the place for tennis. I grew up in Chicagoland area, knowing Midtown. This is what they're known for: the best tennis courts and programming in the sport. Midtown has indoor and outdoor tennis, pickleball, and paddle tennis. USTA professional quality all the way. What you need to do right now is head over to midtown.com/CHGO and find out more and schedule a tour with them and find out your nearest Midtown Athletic Club to you.
Thanks, Herb.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank
I love
you.
Midtown.
You do love Midtown. It's
I-
beautiful.
I've got something I would like to say to the chat.
All right.
Because there's a nice little conversation going on here between our guys, Shea Fidel and Dustin, who are diving into the whole Eloy situation. And I was like, you know what? I seem to remember on one of these meetings of late, Chris Getz being asked about Eloy and talking about him. So here's this from the GM meetings in Arizona. Here's what Chris Getz had to say about Eloy Jimenez. Quote, "We just had a visit with him in the Dominican Republic as a check-in, and he's off and running with his off-season program. He looks really good. He looks motivated and determined. He needs to maintain that. But Eloy's potential with his bat, it's just been lack of consistency, mainly because of missed time." Here we go. "Teams are interested. It certainly just has to make sense on both sides."
I'm telling you.
How do you guys read that? I mean, I think that means they have to eat some of that money to make it appealing. I mean,
I read that he's in the best shape of his life.
That was what happened last year.
right.
And this year's going to be the same. But this year, they're keeping tabs on him, though. Calling him, making sure he's doing his workouts and such. Hey, you do that? Plyometrics?
That really
All right,
wasn't.
cool.
I don't know. He had appendectomy. He played last year. He just wasn't good.
Well, he played hurt. I mean, the guy's legs, he wasn't running very well all year long.
Apparently,
Second most games of his career.
He needed appendix, man.
And
He played pretty
2019.
soon after that appendectomy,
Yes,
too.
he did. Yeah.
And I think he played all in the outfield. Wasn't it like 6 straight games in the outfield after his appendectomy?
And
It's
then,
like,
like,
what are you
ooh,
doing?
their legs.
Well,
were a little
because
rough.
they had at that point had lost the guy that they thought was going to be their everyday right fielder to being unable to play baseball. So
And Victor Reyes never once got a call up
no, and guess
Once.
what? Now where is he playing?
overseas.
Yeah.
He's taking the Eric
So
Petty route.
29 other major league teams weren't impressed with his Charlotte stat line either.
Just a warm body. That's all I'm saying. I didn't even see the Diamondbacks sign Gurriel Jr.
They did.
Oh,
They
that's
did.
what you were.
Big
That's what
deal
you were
over the
talking
weekend.
about.
Big deal.
All right, cool. It was a 3-year deal. What's the
They
big deal?
got Eduardo Rodriguez too. They're
spending.
they're doing stuff.
Oh, 42 isn't that big of a deal.
Spending money, man.
They got to try. What are they going to do? Just wave the white flag at Ohtani and that's it?
Good Dido song. No love for Dido.
I only know her singing that Eminem hook.
All right. Well, I think that's from that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
think,
that's
yeah.
from
Or no,
an
that's
existing song.
No, that's from Thank You. That's
Okay.
from. Anyways, So yeah, I mean the Eloy thing again. We've heard every storyline, and we'll just see if it makes sense. I mean, I think it makes sense for them to hold on to him too, and just see what he does in his first 3 months, and hopefully he stays healthy. And if he does, that probably makes him more appealing than his actual stat line. Like if he's able to post and stay healthy, that probably means like, hey, we already got a discounted salary at the trade deadline. Maybe we'll take a shot at him at this point. Let's go into the mailbag. Let's do this Dylan Cease one first. If I named it even that, yeah. Nope. Not that one. It was the other one. There we go. From our guy Kenny Owens. What team is the favorite to acquire Dylan Cease post Glasnow trade? Again, the mailbag wasn't that full. And Kenny Owens is a real Discord member, and you could join the Discord if you wanted to make sure that we get a full mailbag. So,
I told you, Sean, you should have just signed your own name.
Well, I only needed 2 names. I only have 2 fake questions, so it's just I signed one from the Discord chat because they were kind of talking about the topic.
S. Anderson and Sean A. Those could have been the 2. Or Sean Anderson Severino.
Hey, Kenny Owens.
You call up your guy Matt Call. So the question, what was it? Oh,
how many teams?
What team is the favorite to acquire Dylan Cease post Glasnow trade? We heard from Bob Nightingale that the Braves and Orioles are currently leading. We also heard that the Reds are possibly in.
Mark Feinstein mentioned them today. Yes.
From Mark Feinstein of MLB.com. How much of the Dodgers' presence is there? Do you think that them getting rid of DeLuca and Pepio means that we should exclude them from the Dylan Cease conversation, or is that more if Yamamoto goes to them?
I'm not willing to exclude the Dodgers from anything after the way they've acted so far this offseason. That being said, what Bob Nightingale had to say in his notebook, his very long notebook, I might add, over the weekend. This was especially long because he had all the great reporting on Gary Sheffield, but it was like, I mean, it took me like 5 minutes just to scroll down to where the White Sox thing was. Anyway.
Control F. You can find White Sox.
No, you're not wrong. He said that the White Sox wanted Pepio. And so do the White Sox say, the package that we wanted, the thing that was going to meet our asking price on Dylan Cease, you don't even have it anymore. So listen, the Dodgers continue to have a very good farm system. I'm sure they could put together a package that would make the White Sox very happy. But if that's who the White Sox were targeting, maybe they shift their attention to other young pitching prospects that are similarly intriguing to them, and maybe at a similar level, maybe a little bit more ready to contribute sooner at a major league level.
And I don't know if the other teams are just waiting for the Yamamoto thing to happen, but the Orioles are not in that talking. Neither are the Braves. So let's move on. I don't like the Dodgers. They have enough, and I don't think they're going to be trading for Dylan Cease anymore because they're in the Yamamoto talks. They already just got Glasnow. I know they just got Ohtani. He's not going to be pitching, but they already have pretty much a starting rotation that is representative of who they want to be this next year. So I would move on from the Dodgers and deal with the Braves and deal with the Reds and the Orioles. Those teams seem like they have the players the White Sox want and are ready to deal right now, especially the Braves. Goodness gracious.
I don't think the Dodgers, though, have given up a single player off their top 30 MLB prospects. So, I mean, it's not like...
With the Yankees trade? Didn't they give up something?
Oh, I guess. But I think they got somebody who they ended up swapping in. Right. Okay. Yeah. But, I don't know. I still think they have the ammo to make a trade for Cease.
Plenty.
I think it's interesting, though, if the White Sox wanted Pepio, does that mean, is the reason why they ended up going for Glasnow because of the extension?
Probably. But that extension made zero sense to me on the side of the Dodgers. This man's never thrown over 120 innings in a year, ever. He's been hurt constantly. Mm-hmm. Yes, he has ace stuff when he does pitch, but how are you going to pay a man for 5 years all that money? And it's ace money. And people are questions is $27 million a year ace money? Yes. The only 8 other people make more money than him as a starting pitcher. So that made no sense to me. But if they want to do that and trade to that guy because he's willing to sign an extension, which were Dylan Cease, I don't think he would be willing to sign an extension. You don't get that close, and that's what I was kind of questioning Glasnow, where you get that close to free agency and you're like, all right, I've met my thing. But he's back at home. I understand pitchers, they want to make some money, and they're offering $27 million a year. who is he to argue? You know, he's not probably going to get that on the open market if he goes to free agency next year.
A guy that's thrown 100 innings twice.
Exactly, especially with his lack of innings. But let them make that choice. I don't think it will end up well for them, and I would have definitely rather went with Dylan Cease, because then imagine like if Dylan Cease after 2 years doesn't want to sign with the Braves or with the Dodgers, you still have a bunch of players and a bunch of money to go out and sign other players you need. And you've shown Dylan Cease for 2 years, this is what the Dodgers are all about. Maybe you want to stay here. You know, your agent's down the street in Newport Beach. You could just stay here and be cool. We just gave this man $27 million a year, and he's not half the pitcher that you are. So, I thought it was a mistake. They jumped the gun. I think they would probably definitely rather have Dylan Cease, but the security of having 5 years of glass now and understanding that they're trading big-time prospects, but they're going to have that player was probably more comforting to them.
Am I crazy to think that Cease could probably get $300 million? I mean, Yamamoto
eventually, or if you were a free agent today?
How old would he be? Like 29? Starting his I mean, I think he'll get the deal a little bit more than what Aaron Nola got. Maybe.
Really? You think he's going to get less than Yamamoto?
Yes.
He's going to be 29.
Yeah.
If he signs before December 28th. Because his birthday's December 28th, so he'll be 29. He'll be 30 if he signs past that. But, I mean, Yamamoto right now is 25.
Yeah.
Dylan Cease is 27. Dylan Cease has proved that he can be a major league starter. Yamamoto doesn't have that. Glasnow just got 27 AAV for never going over 100 innings, basically. Dylan Cease has a second Cy Young finish, has, 3 straight seasons of 180-plus innings or 160, 50, something like that.
But think about the devil's advocate. Other teams are like, you got a lot of innings on that arm. And you never had Tommy John in the majors? Questionable. I know he had one that, in high school? I'm telling you that I'm just giving you the other side.
I know, but
they're like,
there was no injury concerns for Glasnow. Man can't stay healthy. He just had a bicep injury.
That's why
he's actively recovering from a bicep strain.
That's why I would not have signed him to that deal.
I agree with you,
Sean. To answer your question, could he? Absolutely. Let's see what he does the next 2 years, because that'll be the greatest determinant of whether he does or not.
Right. I think I don't know. I think I've calculated what he was worth per WAR. I think it's 258 over 7 is what he would be worth if you actually extended him right now.
Oh, I would do that in a second.
Right.
In a second, and it's very inexpensive on the market.
It's only $37 million a year.
I know he doesn't want to go there.
I mean, but not for me. I don't know what your bank account looks like.
Yeah. But I'm like, if you got an ace, you got a person that's not only just pitching well, like at 22, but that has value everywhere. He has so much value. If I was the White Sox, I would just be throwing out numbers. Hey, man, you see the numbers that's going on. What's Aaron Nolan signing for? You like that? Come on, man. Come on through.
Every single day, Dylan Cease wakes up to a new offer in his email.
I mean, when you got one that you develop yourself, I know he was drafted by the Cubs, why not keep him? Show the rest of the people in the top down. It's this is what we do when you perform well for our team. Not just get rid of you at the end of the year when you're trying to make money. We're not Tampa. You see what they do.
Do you not think that Dylan Cease is going to be do you not think you're going to be in contention at all in the next 7 years? That's also the way I'm thinking of it.
Then wrap up shop.
You make that deal by the 7th year. I mean, everyone's even making $40 million per year. You bring up the arms thing. The worry about if teams are worried about how much innings he's thrown. I think
those a slider too.
What are you, a high school?
I'm just saying, what they're going to be saying.
Throws a slider.
And I'm sure the White Sox in arbitration, man, slider you've been throwing it more than your fastball. Some wear and tear on that arm.
Jesus, you old man. 15th most innings in Major League Baseball since 2021. So, there's your concern. I don't know. Who do you think is the favorite right now? I don't think that there's any movement in this market. I don't think the Orioles seem to be that active or that interested in making a trade. They have all the ammo in the world. It seems like they would wait for the price to be perfectly right, and they could just keep waiting. The Braves seemingly are just getting their reps in for trades.
Goodness gracious.
I don't know what – they've worked out their relationship before. I mean, they made the Aaron Bummer trade.
And the Max Stassi trade. I don't think that the Braves are serious about actually acquiring Dylan Cease. I don't think that. Like, I don't know what the Braves are doing. Period. Well, the Braves. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Braves package that they would offer back in the White Sox mind would feature major league, not just major league players, right? I mean, the way the Braves organization is set up, all their best talent is already there. That's why they're winning more games than anybody in the National League. Whereas teams like the Orioles, teams like the Dodgers have more depth throughout the minor league system, even if it is at the upper levels. I'm sure the White Sox would be interested in both of those things. So I'm not saying the White Sox would discount any of those offers, but maybe the Braves are happy with those guys being on their major league roster, whereas you might start to see, because there are just so many prospects, LA, Baltimore, maybe there's some roadblocks in certain areas. Usually when you're a team with a ton of prospects, you make it work when for the best player to be on your major league team.
Are the Braves allowed to trade Reynaldo Lopez?
Are they allowed to trade him?
Yeah.
Like, does he have a no trade contract?
Signing him and then allowed to trade him. Like, is it allowed?
Because they
after
just signed
signing him? I don't know. I don't think you can.
Why wouldn't it be allowed?
I think that's like the thing in the NBA. Like, you can't sign a guy and then trade him right away.
Yeah, it wasn't the December 15th that the Bulls could sign or trade Zach LaVine away. But, yeah, it'd be really dumb if you just signed a dude. It's like, hey, be our starting pitcher. Or try to be our starting pitcher. And it's like, fuck that. Get out of here.
They're just acquiring pieces. Jared Kelenic and Reynaldo Lopez is going to headline the Dylan Cease deal and maybe throw in Vaughn Grisham, Bryce Elder, and there you go. That's your trade deal
for the White Sox. They get so much more. More.
And that's the thing also, too. Remember, as we've got more people in the comments asking for the Orioles top position players,
just go get
the White Sox need pitching. Pitching will come back in this deal if it happens.
Yeah, Justin.
Yes.
I think to answer Justin's question in the comments, get Kierstad and Kauser and two pitchers from the Orioles. I think they'd like to.
Oh, they would. The button would already been hit.
I don't think that they've been offered that, and that's why that deal hasn't been done.
They've hit the button on Kierstad and Kauser. They don't even need the pitchers after that. They'll find a way to work it out.
We'll take a break. We're going to go into ComEd Theater, let you know about new electric vehicles. But maybe we should play a game coming up. What teams aren't in on Dylan Cease? What teams can we actually rule out?
Well, I think
the Oakland A's.
Well, I was going to good starting spot. But I think what I was going to mention, too, as we went through the teams who have obviously been included in those reports, watch the Yamamoto sweepstakes and see who loses, because the teams who miss out on Yamamoto still need pitching. They still want top-flight pitching. They were willing to pay an awful lot of money for it. They might be willing to pay a lot in prospects, too. I don't know how all the farm systems compare with each other, but a team that has been eyeing pitching and free agent everything and has only gotten so far, San Francisco Giants, they might be interested in Cease. Also, we've got both the Yankees and the Mets going after Yamamoto. Yamamoto's only going to go one place, and it might be the Dodgers like everybody else is going. So if you got both New York teams looking for pitching, remember them too.
Yeah. Hopefully, for the White Sox sake, it's the Mets signing Yamamoto, because that makes the Dodgers hungrier, that makes the Braves hungrier, that makes the Orioles hungrier, teams that are already in on it. Like, the Mets won't be acquiring Dylan Cease. They seem like a team that's more like spending money on free agents. So I think like that might be the best scenario for the Sox, is if the Mets sign Yamamoto.
Isn't it better if the Yankees sign him? Then you have the Orioles like, we got to do something. They got a top-flight pitcher there.
And Juan Soto.
And, yeah, now we need to move to the next thing. Yes, we're getting Jackson Holiday playing shortstop, but that's not going to stop us, because when we got to the playoffs, we got killed because our starting pitcher was garbage.
That's fair.
And with the Mets, too, you wonder, would a Yamamoto deal make more sense for them because it's longer term? Are they even going to be ready to be top of that division in 2 years before Cease becomes a free agent? I mean, we all thought so last year, and then they instantly got rid of everybody, and Alonso's going to go to free agency too. Like, where do the Mets even sit in a division that is not only being controlled by the Braves, but keeps featuring the Phillies going to the NLCS every year? So
the Marlins went to the playoffs too. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, Mets probably thinking that should have been them. And hey, they get Edwin Diaz back, so they'll be able to close out games. So there you go.
They'll need a lead.
Maybe they'll be an opener. It's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being for all of us who share it.
You're right, Sean. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence toward an electric tomorrow. A great, big, beautiful electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
What should business owners do, Vinny?
That's a great question, Sean. What they should do is go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. They're good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Sean, when you walked in the door and took your ear plugs out of your ears so you could hear better, that was a good idea because that's exactly what I said. Now go and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and better future for generations to come.
I only wear my earplugs when I'm sleeping. So, I took those out this morning, to be fair.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
If you were still wearing them, you wouldn't have heard my ComEd.com/clean so crystal clearly.
What? Want to let you know about our friends over
here all week.
FOCO. Get fitted in the best sports gear around. They got hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. And in between us are two beautiful FOCO bobbleheads. We got the Southpaw and the TA one. So go check out FOCO.com. That's it. FOCO.com. It's not baseball season anymore, but they got lovely, lovely gifts for maybe a post-Christmas party. Maybe you like I got a family party on the 29th, right? Because it's Christmas on a Monday.
Maybe your winter holiday of choice is Elvis's birthday.
Yeah, that's true. There you go. So get fit in the best sports gear around. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below. For all non-preset items, use the promo code CHGO10 for 10% off.
January 16th?
January 8th.
8th, okay.
For all non-preset items, use the promo code CHGO10 for 10% off. Let's go to the final mailbag question here, and it's from the Discord chat because this wasn't really a question directed to us.
This was a group effort?
This was a group conversation that was
happening.
Thanks, everyone. And I said, hey, why shouldn't we just have this on the podcast? Should MLB implement a deadline to force players to sign earlier? From the Discord chat. Obviously, not a lot of movement happening. We thought that Ohtani would be the big domino that fell, and there hasn't been much that has fallen since. Yamamoto has a deadline. He won't
self-imposed.
No, it's the KBO.
Oh, it's
a window.
Japanese rules. Yes. Yeah.
So they'll be able to talk until January 4th, or he has to make his decision until January 4th. And if he doesn't make a decision, he goes back to the KBO. Japan. Sorry, got Eric Fetty on the mind. Should a deadline be imposed for free agency?
Should it? No, I don't think it should be. That being said, Herb, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I think the thing that we came to was if you wanted to do it, it would have to be very focused. I think it would have to be pretty strict. It couldn't just be like, all right, everybody wrap this up by New Year's and go about your business. I think it would have to be a much smaller window, something that was, maybe limited to like a week or something like that. I mean, remember the reason that the NBA and the NHL's free agency are like they are is because those leagues have salary caps, and baseball doesn't have that. There's only a certain amount of money that all those players can make in those other sports. Baseball, keep negotiating because it can just go up, up, and up. And so that's why you're seeing that if you wanted to change it so there'd be a deadline for strictly entertainment purposes, it would have to be a complete and entire overhaul of the way that they do this in the winter or in the off season, I should say, because the way it goes now, it's based on all those negotiations dragging out. I don't think it's personally a bad thing. I think you could argue that there's entertainment to be had from the dribs and drabs, the daily drama that might focus. Get yourself why give yourself just 1 week of Ohtani headlines when you can have 2 months worth of Ohtani headlines, kind of thing. But if you are somebody who's looking for simply transactions to occur, you're going to need to have a completely new set of rules and regulations.
And I think it's better for the player if they do sign before a certain period of time. So a deadline would be good for them. I've been thinking back in the past where, who was it? Craig Kimbrell, Dallas Keuchel signed late, and those years were pretty much washed or not even.
They didn't sign till the All-Star break, I believe, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then late guys like in 2019. Even in February, it was like Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. Mm-hmm. They didn't have
year before that, you Darvish.
Yeah, they didn't have great years like those years. Those 19 years weren't great years for those. Excuse me, for those guys, especially Machado. So I think having the plan of where am I going to be, where am I going to be living at in December is much better than February. Oh man, I got to go to spring training. Now I got to go and find a spot in San Diego. Excuse me. It's not COVID. It's just.
You're good.
It better not be.
Are you diving?
No, it's just like phlegm. Yeah, and so you need to know exactly where you want to be, and I think that peace of mind leads to peace of mind on the field, your family, all that good stuff. And I think it's better for the player to know where they're going to be before Christmas. They say that all the time. And if you don't know where you're going to be for Christmas, now you're just thinking like in January, like a team is thinking like Tim Anderson, who's out there right now. Where am I going to play? And now he's going to be trying to be desperate, as I use that 2 a.m. type of scenario always. Like, oh, I guess I got to go to this team because that's the only team that's offering me money, instead of being comfortable of where you're going to be going because you've already had 2 months to think about it and not just pulling at scraps of that's on the scrap heap. So I think it would be much better for the sport, the player, everybody involved if they actually had, you have to sign by this date, or else it's all just just single year deals.
Well, we'd have to debate like what's better for players, having a salary cap, and then that way being able to impose a deadline per se, because then it's just less about the money and less about eking as much money out of owners as possible. It's just, this is where I want to go live. This is the team that I think is going to help me the best. Like, I mean, the CBA expires in 2026. Come 2026, will we see a salary cap so then we can fix
They'll
this?
Never do that. They shouldn't do it.
Why would they never do that?
The players, because it limits payment. Like, you won't get $700 million ever again. And that's what the players want. They want unlimited funds. And that's smart for MLB to have, and the players to have, unlimited funds. Now, the competitive balance tax acts as a de facto salary cap to teams like the White Sox. So you have
teams like the White Sox, teams like everybody. Team. Yeah, right, yeah.
And you see this year the Padres are trying to get underneath that competitive balance tax because they don't have the money to pay for all the people. So it's acting like a salary cap as you want it to, but also there's also unlimited money available for teams like the Dodgers, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that maybe players get a little bit more of a baseline, though. I mean, that's what I think the NBA provides is, hey, you have given this much experience, you would get this amount. I mean, I don't know if that would then just weed out older players, though.
But the NBA, you could see, like, people making $40 million are not equal. Like, Zach LaVine's not equal to other guy making $40 million in the same league. But they have a cap. They have a supermax and a max deal. Baseball, you don't need that. You need to have the levels of, this is Shohei Ohtani's money. This is other people's money because he's that guy. And you wouldn't want to have Shohei Ohtani just making the top salary in baseball allowed with another guy who's not as good as Shohei Ohtani, not doing the things that Shohei Ohtani does. So I'm glad that baseball doesn't have a salary cap. Make all the money that you can make, and if you're that good in the market, go ahead and do it. Zach LaVine makes money because the Bulls didn't want to lose him. He's not a max player. He just got that money because the Bulls otherwise would just lose him for nothing. So the Bulls had to give him money. Now they're looking to trade him.
And this question is obviously two very different questions. We've spent a lot of time here talking about what would be best for the people who are actually involved in this. I think what would be best for the people who are actually involved in it is to keep it the way it is. You're asking it, other folks are asking it from a what would be more entertaining for fans to have experience during the offseason. They want news on their favorite player signing with their favorite team, and they want a way to make that happen faster and louder, perhaps. But those are two contrasting ideas. The baseball is an entertainment product. The games are an entertainment product. You know, and the NBA has done a great job of making everything that isn't the game an entertainment product too. But when it comes to the financial engine that powers everything that goes on, the way that it's set up is probably the best way to do it. Well, even though I'm sure the folks who are out there trying to build rosters would like to have this done as quickly as possible. Again, the people who are making the money and spending the money, I guess you would say, this is the way that it works for them, and they're the ones with the power.
Yeah, and I think too, like I've even seen people with the NBA kind of gotten deflated a bit because now the process is known. So come that midnight, guys are just signing with teams right away. So it's like, oh, it started and it's over. So
right.
like, do you then do you then limit it a little bit?
I mean, like think about for us, we've got 5 shows a week.
Yeah, right.
For the entire offseason. Do you really want it to all be over in one day?
No, I mean, hey, we're gonna probably be in this state until January 4th, until Yamamoto signs, and then after that, it's gonna really explode and open up.
According to Kylie McDaniel and Jeff Passan, 8 teams have not offered any money or haven't signed any money this offseason, including the Cubby.
That's fun.
The Yankees too.
Isn't that fun?
They're trying to offer money though.
Yeah, I mean, they got Juan Soto, so I mean, they're at least trying to do something. All right, if you do want to join our Discord, head over to allchgo.com. You can become a diehard today. It's our CHGO Lounge, a diehard Discord. When you do sign up, you get a free T-shirt. I'm wearing mine today. Herb's wearing one of his today as well. We got hats on the store as well, and you get access to. We should probably just do a diehard read.
I thought that's what you were doing. I thought you were taking it off my plate.
That's what I thought we were doing.
I guess I should just do that. You get premium access to certain articles, and
You're so smooth with it.
I guess, but I kind of forgot. I threw it to Vinny to take over, I guess. We got to pull up the read. I don't know.
Discounted events also, Sean.
Discounted
you gotta remember
events.
that too. So
yes.
You'll get access to all the events that we've got coming up and at a discounted price. Discount on all that sweet T-shirt and hat related merchandise you were talking about as well.
And we got you diehards covered for Chicago sports. Like the Bulls are going to have a pregame show coming up at 5:30. So we got pre and postgame shows.
Hawks watch party coming up tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Broken
Hawks
Barrel,
watch party
6:30.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
6:30.
Broken Barrel.
Broken Barrel. And then, I mean, we got Bears coverage. They were on for 2.5 hours after yesterday's game.
Yeah, they do happy hours sometimes, so diehard exclusive. So get in there. You get to talk to those guys personally, and sometimes we do one too.
Yeah. You can find all the information on getting yourself that sweet diehard box over at allchgo.com.
You even could have had the sweet lean of Western Kentucky to cover 3.5 in the second half, as I dropped that in the sports betting chat, which obviously people want.
This is basketball? What are we talking about?
This is football.
Oh,
they're
okay,
playing a
bowl
bowl
season.
game right now.
Ugh.
They're playing the Bahamas Bowl in Charlotte right now.
The Elks Grove Village Bahamas Bowl?
Wait,
Yes, sir.
say it again.
They're playing the Bahamas Bowl in Charlotte right now.
Wait, Charlotte, Bahamas. That's a suburb?
Nope.
Okay.
No, it's just it's
Herb, you missed it while you had COVID. Charlotte moved to the Bahamas.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, God damn.
North Carolina made a big trade.
I've always wanted to go to the Bahama Bowl in Charlotte.
they
What? That's terrible, man.
they got rid of Chapel Hill.
Just call it the Carolina Bowl, Garbage Bowl, whatever you want to call it, the Belk Bowl.
So the thing is that it's still the Bahamas Bowl, but the Bahamas Bowl field wasn't ready. So it's kind of like Carlos Zambrano pitching a no-hitter in Milwaukee against the Astros.
Remember how mad the Astros were about that?
No.
So this was because of the hurricane that hit Houston. So the commissioner made the decision to move that Cubs-Astros series to Milwaukee. The Astros were in a playoff chase. They, I believe, were swept, perhaps, or lost that series to the Cubs, kind of ended their chances of making the playoffs. So they made T-shirts that said, "Bud screwed our season."
Damn,
But of
that's
course.
crazy.
But
What
of
year
course,
is
always,
that?
Was excuses.
Oh, wait, right? I think, yeah.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Always excuses with them.
The Astros?
Yeah.
Those cheating cheap losers?
Hey, when they got over to the American League, they started winning. That National League Astros outfit, not good.
I mean, they made the World Series.
Promptly got dismissed.
10 Ks for Zambrano in that no-hitter.
I was so close to going to that game. I remember it was a Sunday night, and I was like, should I go? Milwaukee's great. I love that place. And then I just didn't pull the trigger. Me and my guy, Matt Weber, didn't go. And I was like, damn it, I could have saw a no-hitter for the first time ever. Still haven't seen one. Still pissed.
So they went on a 6-game winning streak, and then those games were moved to Milwaukee, and then they lost 5 straight. But them saying Bud screwed their season, maybe they're in it. I guess they were in it in the wild card. They were 8.5 games back.
Well, yeah, the Cubs led the NL in wins that year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Cubbies.
Oh, man. I mean, they finished 86 and 75. Like, you just didn't do enough. You
Playoffs
should have
this year,
just
though.
been better. All right. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. Oh, I got to do a read.
Yeah, you do.
Want to let you know about our friends over at Ray Auto. Our partner at Ray Chevy is having the biggest sale of the year right now as my nose starts to bleed.
Oh, no.
That's fun. What the
Why
hell
don't
is going
you
on
pass
with
that
this
one off to
podcast?
her?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Everybody's having problems here. All right, Ray Chevy. Our partner at Ray Chevrolet is having their biggest sale of the year right now. Make your way to Ray Chevrolet in Route 12 in Fox Lake to join the savings for their model year in sales event. And one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. But right now, they're trying to make more room for the incoming 2024 models, so their entire current inventory must go. Plus, you can find the perfect tailgate vehicle at Ray Chevy because they have over 100 new Silverados in stock. And that's not all. You get 0% financing with $0 down and 0 payments till spring of 2024. Or save over $3,000 on a new Chevy Blazer, $4,000 on an Equinox, or over $10,000 on a Silverado. And to top it all off, they're pricing over 120 vehicles under $20,000. Seriously, guys, can pricing get more affordable? What you need to do. I know everyone loves the word free, and that's what you'll get this month at Ray Chevy at Fox Lake. A free oil change. All you need to do is mention CHGO when scheduling your oil change online or on the phone. Better hurry. The exclusive offer ends December 31st, 2023. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevy.com to get your model year end savings. They've been serving the community since 1963. Find new roads.
All right. Should we wrap this up? Sean is coming back, but
No,
you could
don't
just
come on
I could just
set.
wrap this up, Sean.
I got it. That's Vinnie Duber. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer.
I would have liked to think that I could have pulled that off,
Nope.
just listing our names and Twitter handles. But all right,
You know, I got that dog in me. I'll get through this.
got a Kleenex in you, that's for sure.
That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ectorwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader, and I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show, and thank you to Herb for bailing me out on that read. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.